The first time an Airbnb guest parked in my driveway, I thought it was a simple mistake. It was a Friday evening, the kind where you're already tired before you even get home. I had stopped for groceries, traffic had been awful, and all I wanted was to pull into my driveway, carry everything inside, and not speak to another human being for at least an hour. But when I turned onto my street, I saw a white SUV sitting halfway up my driveway like it belonged there. Not on the curb, not slightly over the edge, fully inside my driveway, parked behind the spot where my truck usually went. For a few seconds, I just sat in the street with my turn signal blinking, staring at it. My first thought was that maybe someone had the wrong house. That happens. Delivery drivers get confused, guests mix up addresses. Maybe someone was visiting my neighbor and didn't realize where his property ended and mine began. Annoying, sure, but not worth turning into a war. Then I saw 3 people standing on the neighbor's porch with rolling suitcases. That was when I realized this probably had something to do with the rental next door. My neighbor Grant had lived there for about 2 years. He wasn't the worst neighbor in the world, but he had a habit of treating inconvenience like something other people should quietly absorb. He was in his late 30s, always busy, always on his phone, always talking like every conversation was a quick business call. When he first moved in, he told me he worked remotely and traveled a lot. Nice enough at first, waved from the driveway, asked about trash pickup, borrowed a socket wrench once and returned it 3 weeks later like that was normal. Then, about 6 months after he moved in, the house started changing. Not physically at first. It still looked like a normal suburban home. Gray siding, black shutters, a little front porch, 2-car driveway. But the rhythm changed. Cars I didn't recognize started appearing every few days. Different people came and went with luggage. Sometimes there were families, sometimes couples, sometimes groups of friends who arrived late, laughed too loudly, and left early Sunday morning with coffee cups and messy hair. At first, I assumed Grant just had a lot of visitors. Then one afternoon, I saw a woman standing near my mailbox looking at her phone, confused. She asked if I knew where the check-in code was. That was how I found out Grant had turned the house into a short-term rental. I didn't love it, but I didn't immediately make it my problem. People do what they want with their houses, and I'm not the kind of person who goes looking for reasons to complain. If his guests stayed quiet, parked legally, and didn't treat the street like a hotel loading zone, I could live with it. That was my thinking at the start. Reasonable. Maybe too reasonable. The parking problem started small. At first, guests parked in Grant's driveway. Then, when there were 2 or 3 cars, they used the curb in front of his house. Then they started using the curb in front of mine. That was irritating, but public street parking is public street parking. I didn't own the curb. I told myself not to be that guy. But then they started parking too close to my mailbox, blocking my trash bins on pickup day, and sitting near the mouth of my driveway in ways that made backing out harder than it needed to be. I mentioned it to Grant once when I caught him outside unloading supplies from his car. I said, "Hey, your guests are starting to crowd my driveway a bit. Can you remind them to keep the entrance clear?" He smiled like he was only half listening and said, Yeah, absolutely. People are usually pretty good about it." They were not pretty good about it. The white SUV that Friday was the first time one of them parked directly in my driveway. I got out of my truck, walked over, and looked through the windshield. No note, no phone number, just a rental car sticker on the window and a suitcase visible in the back. I walked next door and knocked. A man I had never seen before opened the door. He looked friendly enough, maybe in his 40s, wearing a travel hoodie and holding a phone. I asked if the white SUV belonged to him. He said yes, and before I could say anything else, he told me Grant's listing said there was extra driveway parking next door. For a second, I just stared at him. I asked him to repeat that. He turned his phone around and showed me the listing instructions. There it was in plain language. Primary driveway fits 2 vehicles. Additional parking available in neighboring driveway when open. Please avoid blocking garage. Neighboring driveway. My driveway. I felt that slow heat rise in my chest. Not explosive anger, but that cold disbelief you get when someone has already made a decision involving you without bothering to tell you. The guest looked uncomfortable when he realized I clearly had no idea what he was talking about. To his credit, he apologized right away and moved the SUV. He wasn't the real problem. He had simply followed the instructions he was given. Grant was the problem. I called him that night. He didn't answer, so I texted him a screenshot the guest had shown me and wrote, "Why does your Airbnb listing tell people they can use my driveway?" He replied almost an hour later with, "That shouldn't be in there. Must be old wording. I'll fix it." Old wording. That was an interesting excuse because I had never given him permission at any time, old or new. But I was tired and the SUV had been moved, so I decided to give him one chance to fix it. I told him very clearly that my driveway was private property and his guests were not allowed to use it. He sent back a thumbs up emoji. I should have known that emoji was not a solution. For about 2 weeks, things got better, or at least it looked they did. Guests still came and went, but nobody parked in my driveway. I thought maybe the problem was handled. Then on a Saturday morning, I opened my front door to take the trash out and saw a compact car parked at the bottom of my driveway, angled just enough to block my truck from getting out. I had errands to run, nothing dramatic, nothing life or death, but that didn't matter. It was my driveway. I shouldn't need permission from a stranger to leave my own house. I walked next door and knocked. No answer. I knocked again, harder. Still nothing. I could hear voices inside, but nobody came to the door. So I took a photo of the car, the license plate, and the blocked driveway. Then I texted Grant. No response. 20 minutes passed. I called him, straight to voicemail. By then, I was done being patient. I called the number listed on the short-term rental platform for the host contact. It rang, and after a few seconds, Grant answered in his most polished customer service voice. I said, "Your guest is blocking my driveway." There was a pause. Then he said, "Oh, hey, sorry, I'm out of town right now." I said, "I know, that's the problem." He told me he would message the guest. I waited outside by my truck while he did that. Another 15 minutes passed before a young woman finally came out, looking annoyed more than embarrassed. She said, "We were told overflow parking was okay there if it was just temporary." Temporary. That word seems to appear when someone is doing something they shouldn't. I told her it was not okay, temporary or otherwise. She moved the car, but the damage was done. Not physical damage, the other kind. The kind where you realize the person causing the problem has not actually stopped. He has just gotten better at making it somebody else's misunderstanding. That evening, I looked Grant's listing myself. It took me less than 5 minutes to find it. The photos made the house look cleaner and brighter than it did in real life. Cozy suburban retreat, perfect for families, easy parking. That phrase made me click deeper into the details. Under house rules and check-in instructions, the wording had changed from what the guest had shown me before, but not enough. Now it said, driveway fits 2 vehicles, additional nearby parking often available. Please be respectful of neighbors. Nearby parking. Often available was vague enough to deny and clear enough for guests to interpret however they wanted. And based on what just happened, they were interpreting it as my driveway. I took screenshots of everything. From that point on, I started documenting every guest car near my driveway, every blocked trash bin, every late-night arrival, every time someone pulled into my driveway to turn around, unload luggage, or wait while another person checked the door code. I didn't stand outside like a crazy person with a clipboard, but I paid attention. A camera over my garage helped, my phone helped, dates and times helped. Grant acted like I was overreacting when I brought it up again. He came over one afternoon after I sent him another photo and said, "Look, man, I can't control every single guest." I said, "You can control what you tell them." He sighed like he was making his business harder. "It's a driveway, they're not hurting anything." That sentence told me everything I needed to know. It's a driveway. Just like people say it's just grass, just flowers, just 2 feet, just a fence, just a few hours. It's always just something when they are not the ones being inconvenienced. I told him the next guest who blocked me would be towed. He actually laughed a little bit. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to show he thought I was bluffing. He said, "Come on, you're not going to tow vacation guests." I said, "Try me." For the next few weeks, the situation became a pattern. Most guests parked correctly at first, then someone would get lazy, a car would sit partly across my driveway, a delivery driver for the rental would pull into my drive, a guest would unload luggage there because it was only a minute. Once, a family parked a minivan in my driveway while they ate dinner inside because Grant's driveway already had 2 cars. When I knocked, the father looked genuinely confused and said, "The host said the neighbor was flexible." Flexible? I was starting to hate the English language. I sent Grant that quote too. He didn't answer. That was when I stopped treating this like a neighbor dispute and started treating it like a business problem, because that's what it was. Grant wasn't just having friends over, he was running a short-term rental, taking money from guests, and using my property as part of the convenience package. Whether he wrote it directly or